On-page SEO is a pretty simple concept to understand, but with so much changing in the world of SEO in 2021, how we apply our on-page optimization in 2022 can seem a little bit complex. This video has been specifically made for 2022, and I say that so that you know that this isn't rehashed old content that has simply had the title changed. And the video aims to clear up any confusion around the topic of on-page SEO. I've made it my task to break down on-page SEO into a simple step-by-step guide, or checklist if you like, and the processes that I'm going to be describing in this video can be applied to any kind of website, although I will be explaining it in the context of an affiliate website. Hey there affiliate schoolers, and welcome to this video. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. If you love everything that is SEO and affiliate marketing, then this is the place to be. Now let's dive straight in and clear up what exactly we mean by the term on-page SEO. Essentially, it's a set of signals that we can implement on any page on any given website. Now, some of these signals are fairly major ranking factors for search engines such as Google, and some of them are fairly minor, but when you combine them all together, they can have a really big effect on your rankings. The downside of this is, if you get it wrong, you can really shoot yourself in the foot. So getting your on-page optimization right is absolutely crucial. Perhaps unsurprisingly, off-page optimization is the complete opposite of on-page optimization and essentially covers the art of link building. We're going to be moving fast through the content today, so all the links to all of the tools will be available in the description below, so be sure to check those out at the end of the video. One of the great things with on-page SEO is that typically you can see the impact of the changes that you make fairly quickly in the search results, as long as your pages are getting crawled fairly regularly by Google. Now, because of this, you're going to want to have some good tracking systems set up in the first place. Now, for this, you really want to have Google Analytics, Google Search Console, and a decent rank tracker set up. All of this is covered in my over-the-shoulder 1-hour tutorial video, and you can get access to that by clicking the link in the description below, and it takes you through the whole setup from domain registration through to hosting, through to getting the first piece of content live on your site. The next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want access to some free tools that are going to help you diagnose issues if you've got an existing site, but also to analyze competition when you're looking at best practices for your given keyword. Now, there are two key tools that I use for this, and that is Screaming Frog and a Chrome extension called Detailed. Getting your keyword research right is crucial to your on-page success, and the first step in this is to make sure that you don't have multiple pages on your website that target the same keyword. This is going to cause keyword cannibalization issues, and essentially just means that Google isn't going to know which page to focus on for that keyword, and both will end up not performing brilliantly. When you have your focus keyword for a particular page, you're then going to want to look for variations of that keyword that you can also rank for. There are many tools you can use for this, but using Ahrefs matched terms in the Keyword Explorer is a great place to start. But if you're looking for a more cost-effective solution, then Keywords Everywhere also does this job pretty well. The next thing you're going to want to focus on when it comes to keyword research is the content itself, and more importantly, the search intent behind that specific keyword and how that impacts the type of content that you create. Most websites will fall within 3 categories for the search intent of any given keyword. Now, particularly for affiliate sites, they are going to be informational type search intent. So the searcher is expecting to find out the answer to a question or more information around their particular search query. The next one is transactional, so someone actually looking to buy something, and the third one is going to be a review or comparison type search. Now, the ultimate aim here that you need to focus on is to not allow the user to need to go back to Google once they have visited your page. So you need to do your absolute utmost within your content to satisfy the user intent or the search intent. that user has. Ultimately, if that searcher goes back to Google after visiting your page, that's going to send a negative signal to Google, and over time, and if that happens enough, your page is going to be moved further down the search results, and competitor pages that do satisfy that search intent will move above you. Next up, we're looking at three of the big hitters when it comes to ranking signals, and that is the page title, the meta title, and the URL. Now, in years gone by, there was conflicting advice around the page title and the meta title and whether these should be utilizing variations of a keyword, so synonyms. Now, for me, around 80% of the time, I have tended to stick with the same page title as the same meta title. Occasionally, I would vary that up, but more and more now, I am leaning towards almost 100% of the time keeping the page title and the meta title the same, including the main keyword in that page title and meta title. And the reason for that is that Google are starting to rewrite our meta titles in the search results. Now, they've done this for a long time with meta descriptions, but with meta titles, they're doing it more and more. And what they're typically tending to do is to either take the page title or the H1 tag. Now, they tend to usually be the same depending on the theme that you're using. So it makes sense to have that page title the same as your meta title and really focus in on the main keyword for both of those. Now, my advice would be the same for the URL. You want typically your URL to be as short as possible, but make sure that you get your main keywords in there. When it comes to your meta title, you want to make sure that you fully utilize that 65 character limit. Again, include the keyword towards the beginning of the meta title if possible, and then think about using some modifiers within the meta title, such as month or year. If you're using Yoast or Rank Math, then you can use the shortcode to put that in and it will automatically update. That's a really good tip. And what you really want to focus on here is the conversion rate optimization of that title in the search results. So make it compelling to click on your page from your meta title and also from your meta description. The content on your page is of course absolutely crucial, and there are a few things that we can do to really make sure the content is as well optimized as it possibly can be for any given search term. And the first thing that you're going to want to do is try and include your main keyword as close to the beginning of the content as possible. Now, some people will tell you that it has to go in the first sentence. I'm not quite so much of a stickler with that. It is great if you can fit it naturally within that first sentence. If not, anywhere within the first 1 or 2 paragraphs should be absolutely fine, and I've had no problems ranking using this approach. The next thing you're going to want to focus on is your keyword density, and all this means really is how often your main keyword is mentioned within the content in relation to how much content you actually have. Now, there is no magic number that I can give you to say you should include it 3 times in every 1,000 words or 4 times in every 3,000 words. It doesn't work like that. My advice typically would to go on the lesser side than the higher side. The higher you go with this, the more open you are leaving yourself to being over-optimized, which is not a great place to be, and you can always add it in more later. But if you really want to be sure, the best thing to do is to look at the pages that are ranking in the top 5 positions of Google and then work out an average of that. There are many tools that you can use to determine this yourself, but CheckSERP has a really good free option for this. When it comes to the copy on the page, you also want to make sure you are including synonyms of your main keyword. The easiest way to find these is just to use a thesaurus, although there are many keyword research tools that will also give you this information. Before I delve into the content optimization even further, if you're finding value from this video, I would love it if you could give it some on-page YouTube love and hit that like button. So I'm going to give you some quick fire tips when it comes to the content now. And the first thing is to just make your content better than what currently exists. Now, that might sound like obvious commonsensical advice, but it makes a difference. And ultimately, you want to provide the best possible value to the person that is viewing your web page. Remember, you want to focus on that, on satisfying that search intent. So look at what the competition are offering and just try and make your content that little bit better. When it comes to content length, it isn't always the case that more is better. However, you do need to be working in the right ballpark. So what I tend to do with this is, again, look at the competition that are in the top 3 to 5 positions and work out an average content length based on what they have. Now, this will differ from niche to niche and from keyword to keyword, so you really will need to do this research each time you publish a new piece of content. Next, you want to focus on user experience, and this means making your page as engaging as possible. Now, if this means including extra images, video, tables, then that's what you need to do. You should also make sure that you're using short paragraphs so the reader is not confronted by a wall of text. And with the content itself, don't repeat, don't put fluffy language in there, be concise, be engaging. You can have whatever type of writing style that suits your website, but ultimately, don't fill it with fluff. You should definitely use headings to break up the content and use these in a logical way that makes sense. You want one H1 tag per page, which typically is probably going to be the same as your page title. And then your H2s are going to be your main headings. Now, for these, try to include your primary keyword in at least some of these. And then for some of the others, try and include synonyms of that primary keyword. And then for all the other headings on the page, use H3 and H4 tags. Now, this one's really important, and I can't overstate this enough, particularly for affiliate websites that are focusing on review content, and that is to make sure the content is written in a way that shows expertise and authority in the subject that you're writing about. The days are gone when we can just include regurgitated content that we might see on other websites or just from product page information. So really go to town on establishing that expertise and authority and include the bio of the writer on the page itself. And a final point on the content, if you notice that there is a competitor that is ranking a featured snippet on Google, then that's something that you're going to want to take note of. Take a look at their page, look at how they have managed to get that featured snippet. Is it a list? Is it information? And then apply the same technique as what they are doing to your page too. So if they're including a H2 tag with the specific search term that then has a structured or an unordered list underneath, then include that in your content too. But obviously make it better and ensure that it is unique. It's really important that you use images within your content for all manner of reasons, but aside from anything else, it's another ranking signal that we can give to search engines. And the biggest signal really that we can use here is the title of the image itself. So be sure to use a variation of your main keyword within the title, and perhaps for one image include the main keyword literally as it is. For the alt text, my advice here is to literally describe the image. So don't go too keyword heavy on the alt text, but at the same time make sure that each image you have does have the alt text filled out. One of the biggest changes for 2022, and particularly when it comes to affiliate websites, is to try and ensure that your images are unique. So if that page is specifically about a product, try and include unique images for that product. Now, if you don't physically have that product yourself, you could use an image editing tool to take an image that already exists but make it unique to your page. And you can do that by maybe flipping the image, darkening the image, cropping the image, and looking and designing it in a slightly different way to that original file format. But it's really important that you take this step so that Google knows that that image is unique to your page. If your images are on money pages on an affiliate website, then link those images. You will get a lot more clicks by having the image linked, but just be sure to follow that link. You need to make sure that your images are properly sized before you add them to your page, and you also want to use some form of image compression. I use Smush Pro for this, which also allows you to host the images as WebP files. Video is another great tool to boost engagement on our pages. So again, this can be another really powerful on-page SEO signal. However, we do need to make sure that it's not slowing down the page too much. Now, the easiest way to do this is to make sure that you're hosting the video using a third-party solution such as YouTube or Vimeo, and then embedding that on the page. Just do some diagnostic checks using GT metrics to make sure that everything's working as it should, and you shouldn't really have any issues. However, I would advise one video per page, just to make sure that you're not slowing things down too much. The key factors to focus on when it comes to video is to make sure that they're relevant to the page itself, so they're adding value, that they're high in quality in terms of production value, and that they are mobile responsive. Next up, we're going to talk about links, and we are of course talking about links on our own website, so that does form part of the on-page SEO. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is internal linking. We can use internal linking to strategically power pages on our website. However, we want to do this with a user experience mindset, so that we're not just littering pages full of links just for the point of ranking them. If we think of it in the sense that we want to provide a link for the reader to get more information about that particular topic, if it makes sense to add that link, and that if that reader would click on that link and they're going to get more information, then that makes sense to use that as an internal link. If it's not adding value to the user, then my advice would be, don't add it. In terms of how many internal links you can add per page, again, there is not really any magic number here. I would just follow the principle that I've just described, and I think you'll be absolutely fine. When it comes to external links, by all means do include these. If you are linking out to more resources, then that can just be added as a standard type of link. If it's an affiliate link, then you want to make sure that you are no following that link. And with all links, you want to make sure that they're opening as a new page. Now, for your affiliate links, you can use Thirsty affiliate links for that, and it's really simple and easy to use. There is a free version of it. The biggest point you want to focus on when it comes to links on your website is to make sure that you are not getting any 404 errors from those links. So in other words, just make sure that the destination page does actually exist. With all links that are placed on your website, make sure they are easily identifiable as a link, and the easiest way to do this is to make sure that the font color for links is different to the font color for your standard copy. This next one is quick and easy, and it's all about mobile responsiveness. We need to make sure that our website and all of our web pages are mobile responsive, and most themes will do this for us. However, we can still run into some errors. Now, typically these will be identified in Google Search Console, which again is why it's really important that we have that set up. Now, the biggest issues you're likely to face here are font size and spacing. So making sure that your font size is big enough to be legible on a mobile device, and that your spacing between copy and buttons or any other clickable elements is enough so that someone is not accidentally going to click on a button when they're trying to look at a piece of text. Next up, we're going to talk about ads and interstitials. Now, what we mean by this is ads are typically, we're talking about display ads here. Now, there are hundreds and hundreds of different opinions on display ads. I'm not necessarily going to give my own personal opinion, but just be aware that if you are using ads, it is likely to be slowing down the page, and it is likely to have some impact on user experience. So you might want to do some kind of split testing here to see how user engagement is impacted by the use of ads and then not having those ads displaying. Regardless of your opinion on ads, the way in which you use pop-ups and interstitials is really something that you need to take seriously. Particularly with mobile devices, any kind of pop-ups on a screen that are going to impact on user experience, and it's something that Google has massively clamped down on in recent years. This isn't just new for 2022, but it's not going away either. So if you are using any kind of pop-ups to try and capture email addresses or anything like that, then again, you might want to run some split testing, try it with it on, try it with it off, see what kind of impact it has in terms of your rankings, but also in terms of your user engagement. Next, you're going to want to focus on page speed and core web vitals. Now, this isn't something that I'm going to go into in a huge amount of depth here, but I will be putting out some video content around this in 2022. So again, be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell to get that content. But it is something you need to focus on. You need to be using Search Console and using the field data for the core web vitals and for the page speed information if you have access to that field data. If not, then use the lab data. You can also use tools such as GT Metrics to get this information too. Next up, you want to make sure you're using structured data effectively for that specific type of page that you have. So if it's a review, use review schema. If it's local business, use local business, and so on. You can simply use a tool such as Detailed for checking the schema. You can also use the structured data markup checking tool through Google for this, and most themes will include some form of structured data, and if not, there are plenty of plugins that you can use to add this to any specific page on your website. If you do everything that we've listed on this video today, then you are going to be so far ahead of the majority of your competitors in 2022 and beyond. However, if you want to get an extra edge, then you should watch this video next that will make sure your content creation is absolutely spot on. Thank you for watching, guys, and good luck with your projects.